5 states, 5 wins, just one night for the presidential candidates, and now the nomination is in clear sight for the frontrunners. Both parties battled for the states holding primaries this past week, but only a few came out victorious.
Let's go forward, let's win the nomination, and in July, let's return as a unified party.
And I just want to tell you, for the 5 states, I am so honored. This was, to me, our biggest night because it shows such diversity.
And teaming up to take down a front-runner, Ohio Governor John Kasich and Texas Senator Ted Cruz said they were joining forces to bring down Donald Trump.
The two of us are competing to win the nomination and to make sure that we can steward our resources so we can stop Hillary Clinton.
And announcing a running mate before even earning the nomination. Now former presidential candidate Carly Fiorina is back in the game. And political punchlines delivered by President Barack Obama at his last White House Correspondents' Dinner.
My approval ratings keep going up. The last time I was this high, I was trying to decide on my major.
We have all the jabs the commander-in-chief took at the presidential candidates. Look, it's Sunday morning. I'm Candace McCowan. Thank you for joining us. The path to the nomination is looking brighter by the week for GOP frontrunner Donald Trump. The Republican won all 5 Northeast primaries. Now Trump looking ahead to Indiana's primary, hoping to knock it out of the park.
We don't have a long way if I can win in Indiana. If I win, we win. It's over. It's over.
The finish line is also in sight for Democrat Hillary Clinton. The former Secretary of State won 4 of the 5 states. She lost Rhode Island to Senator Bernie Sanders, but now she is turning her attention to fighting the Republicans.
We will have to stand together and work hard to prevail against candidates on the other side.
Well, the attacks are getting more and more vicious by the week. Trump turning his attention to Clinton, accusing her of using the woman card.
If Hillary Clinton were a man, I don't think she'd get 5% of the vote. The only thing she's got going is the woman's card. And the beautiful thing is women don't like her, okay?
Well, Clinton refused to back down and defended her campaign.
If fighting for women's health care and paid family leave and equal pay is playing the woman card, then deal me in.
Well, in a recent survey from NBC News SurveyMonkey, Clinton has a 21-point lead among women. Trump, on the other hand, has a smaller lead among men with 8 points. Well, there were plenty of political talkers this week, including Texas Senator Ted Cruz and Ohio Governor John Kasich teaming up to stop Donald Trump from winning the nomination. Earlier this week, the 2 underdogs agreed to cede certain states to the other in order to prevent Trump from reaching the number of delegates he needs. Donald Trump called the alliance pathetic.
Where they collude. They colluded, and actually I was happy because it shows how weak they are. It shows how pathetic they are.
Now, you know why we don't...
Meanwhile, Kasich is looking past Indiana to Oregon's mid-May primary. Despite winning just 1 state, his own, Kasich says he's not going anywhere.
Well, I've decided to keep going, and there are going to be people who are going to criticize me for that.
Well, another story making political headlines this week, Senator Ted Cruz announcing a running mate before he's even the nominee. But will this be enough to help Cruz face off against Trump on Tuesday in Indiana?
He's going to be having kidney surgery.
Ted Cruz is telling the people of Indiana they can be game changers.
I could not be happier to have this race decided using the Midwestern common sense, the good judgment of Hoosiers.
And the Hoosier state may be the last chance for Cruz, who's trying to create buzz and momentum with his new running mate, Carly Fiorina. Cruz is not getting much love from former House Speaker John Boehner, who was asked to size up the candidate at a Stanford forum.
Lucifer in the flesh. I have as many Democrat friends as I have Republican friends. I get along with everybody. But I've never worked with a more miserable son of...
Cruz dismissed him as Donald Trump's golfing buddy.
If you're happy with John Boehner as Speaker of the House and you want a president like John Boehner, Donald Trump's your man.
Trump's your man is exactly what several GOP lawmakers said in Washington.
He's surging. The momentum is behind him. Let's face it, people want to support a winner.
In Indiana, winners don't get much bigger than legendary basketball coach Bobby Knight, who's on Team Trump.
At heart, he's just a great American.
And for Trump, it is a simple game plan.
If we win in Indiana, it's over.
Indiana, battleground for Trump and the movement to stop it. Cruz is challenging Trump to a one-on-one debate between now and Tuesday, but Trump is showing no interest in that. Brian Moore, NBC News, Washington.
Democratic presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders is handing out pink slips. He's planning on laying off hundreds of campaign staff. The downsizing comes after Senator Sanders only won 1 of 5 primaries this week. Well, in your votes, we are getting out some of our opinions on this week's political headlines a bit differently this week. It's our WFLA Your Vote Counts Battle Round, and I'm joined now by former Pinellas County Young Republicans President Gordon Oldham and Chris Cano from the Hillsborough County Democrats. How are you guys? Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
All right, well, first up, in who won this week, we're going to take a look between Donald Trump and the alliance between John Kasich and Ted Cruz. Let's start with you, Gordon. Who do you think won?
Well, I think obviously Donald Trump, coming off all of the momentum for the big wins that he had, that gave him a really, really good head start. But, you know, I think Ted Cruz getting the endorsement of Governor Pence, joining forces with Kasich, I think these are some really, really big things that he's going to need if he's going to win Indiana. And it'll be interesting to see which endorsement is worth more, the governor of Indiana or Bobby Knight and his basketball.
Very interesting. You know how people feel about their sports. Chris, what do you think? Who was the winner in that one?
Well, you know, from the beginning of Trump's campaign, there's been this issue of legitimacy, and we see that they're giving legitimacy by forming an alliance against him. Of course, he comes out a winner.
Absolutely. All right. Well, the new NBC poll just released minutes ago showed that Trump is still doing very well. Next up, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. His comment about the woman's card this week. Did Trump defend his comment, or did he just help Clinton win over more female voters? Chris, what do you think?
Well, what we see is that younger female voters are a demographic that Clinton seems to be struggling with at times, especially that 18 to 29 demographic. But, you know, in general, when you attack her, it's never a good thing because she's able to use it for her own, you know, campaign. She's able to use it for her own talking points. And in the end, she comes out on top this week by using it as a fundraising tool and as a PR tool.
What do you think, Gordon?
I think that it's like anything else. When Trump is on the offensive, he gets a lot of support from that. And even though he says something that might be controversial, when he's on the offensive, he's winning in the polls.
Yeah, you're right. It hasn't slowed him down much before. Well, let's take a look. John Boehner calling Ted Cruz Lucifer, also saying that he is a miserable SOB. Those are some harsh words coming from the former Speaker of the House. Who is the winner in this battle? What do you think, Gordon?
I think that probably John Boehner is the winner. You know, Ted Cruz is trying to cater to many of these establishment GOP people, and when someone like a Boehner comes out and says something that's kind of a little left field about him, I think it hurts him.
Yeah. What about you? Do you think he's the respectable guy that many Republicans are listening to?
Well, the fact of the matter is that Ted Cruz's defense to this was to try and tie Donald Trump and Boehner together, and you can't try Trump to the Republican establishment. So there's no way he could have won in this debate.
All right. Well, Chris, I'm going to ask you this. In our final fight between Sanders and Clinton, is this over? Is there any chance left for Bernie Sanders?
There is mathematically a chance to victory still with the number of delegates that are there. You know, if Bernie comes out on top and wins California and keeps it competitive in all the other races, he could wind up having more pledged delegates going into the convention in Philly. You know, I fully expect to see a contested convention this summer.
What do you think, Gordon? Do you think it's over? Do you think we'll see him drop out?
I think that it's over. I do. I think you've seen all the signs of him winding down his campaign, from laying off staff to dropping his lawsuit against the DNC. And finally this week, the rhetoric that was coming out of him was not really attacking Clinton personally. It was more coming together as a party and, you know, coalescing under the nominee.
He's got a lot of winning to do if he's going to have any shot at this.
Indeed.
Hey, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. All right. Well, coming up later on after the break, as the relationship between the U.S. and Cuba improves, a new problem emerges. More Cubans are migrating from the island, trying to get to the U.S. before policy changes. Up next, why many are now stranded in South America and what's being done to solve this new migrant crisis. Stay with us.